Welcome to the Mediocre to Magnificent podcast. I'm your co-host, Braxton Matson, and your host, Lee A. Williams, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in because you are what makes this pure magnificence. You are the ripple effect of magnificence, and we are going to bring you a message that will give you insight, inspire you, motivate you, and challenge you to not only grow in your magnificence, but let you know that you are magnificent in everything you do. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss it.
This is gonna be an interesting
Why
one.
you look like that, man?
Nah, just
Already?
what we went through, what we was talking about before we get on air.
Yeah,
This is gonna be interesting.
me filling you in.
You feel me in? Like you have some. I don't know how. Like I guess it's just your awareness of what's going on around you,
Yeah,
and being able to see what you're about to tell us.
right. What did you like,
Man? When you
But
told
you've
me,
had a couple of those.
I've had
We've got to
not
get you
like
back.
this.
We've
though.
got to get you
Not
back.
like
We got to get you
this.
back to like, man.
I will say this: I have like the hawk stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
I have seen like that's been for a while now, for like a week or so.
Oh,
I've
really?
been seeing a bunch
so
of
we
hawks.
just saw one when we were playing.
Yeah, I saw one then. I saw like two at work flying around making noises.
So
like
then you might have to really take
like-
heed to that from this message.
I've
but-
seen the fly up out of go up on the power line.
So yeah, you might have
Like
to really.
the hawk's been in mind
Yeah.
for a while, but
So you have to like whatever comes up during the hawk
yeah,
portion of this.
I'll have to see what
You have to
what that
really, like,
means.
But there's something to it, and I know it, like for everybody it might be like, okay, man, this one might be a little different because there's some reading. I want
Yeah.
to do some reading just to make sure that I say what's saying, and I'll do my best to tie it into where I'm at in my life, the circumstance, the situation. Braxton can share how it applies to him and his life, but yeah. Because it's kind of one of the ones is like it catches you off guard,
Right.
but there's a lot, and I don't want to
There is
not.
a lot. There's a lot to it.
I don't want to not present it properly,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I just said I'm just gonna read it. But anyway, so man, I'm on a hike. You already know how this is starting off. On a hike, man, and the hike was wonderful, man. You know, couple mile, 3.3 mile.
Okay.
Just taking the loop at Dawson.
Oh yeah.
So it's you know, so far it's like any other morning, man. I get up and do my Bible reading, I pray, do meditation, journal, do my affirmation, gratitudes, like do another form of reading. I don't know if I said journal, but I journal.
Yeah.
So, you know, the full process really.
So you basically your typical routine you do every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I get up and say, okay, for this day's movement, I want to do a hike.
Okay.
So that's that part of that AM. So I'm just going through my 8M checklist.
Right.
Just checking them off, man. Boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this starts very early in the morning. Early bird gets the worm.
Right.
You're laughing like you're like, hey, he gonna tie it back in. This is so you know we're out here, man, and do the hike. And I don't want to say I don't have anything exciting to say about on the hike. I was tapped in on the hike. It had been raining, so everything was green and lush, and the browns were brown. You know.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I get home, like in the driveway, is where the root of this story comes from. I'm just setting up the scene, so it's like early morning hike.
So what time do you get back in the house? Usually, typically.
This was probably, I would say, no later than 9.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, driving there, driving
Yeah,
back,
the whole
doing
routine.
the 3-point.
Yeah.
Like, I have it on my schedule. My movement time is 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 8 a.m.? No, I'm misspeaking. That's my meal time. my movement time is 7 a.m. So I want to be on the trail 7. But that's just a guideline. So don't be like,
Right,
okay,
yeah, it's just flexible,
you
but
call
that's
me
typically
7:15, Lee, where you at? Like,
well, I mean, yeah.
you're like, you're not doing no movement. I thought you said 7.
But that's
you
key
know.
though, because you
But
have it written down. You got it written
guideline.
down.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got the guideline. Yeah.
So I want to say back by 9. So it's still,
Yeah. It's early.
some people don't start work till 9.
Some people don't get up.
I
Until,
already told you how much stuff I've done.
yep.
Okay, great. So, because definitely by the time I start doing my meetings and working on my book and doing the curriculum and coaching clients, like, my stuff, I got to be full.
Right.
I got to be full to the point where I'm not serving from a full cup. My cup's flowing over and it's flowing to a saucer, and I'm serving from a saucer.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do that not taking care of yourself
Right.
and getting back to the basics. And my basics are the 8 M's to magnificent living. But okay. So as I'm pulling in the driveway, man, and everybody's like, "Oh man, he saw some animal." Like,
Not just some animal.
I mean, some people was already like, "Oh, this is one of those kind." It's fine. It's fine. If you've been
We
listening,
need to have like a title for these episodes
And
on the animal.
the animals. But nah, so I'm pulling in the driveway, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I got the button to open the garage, and as I'm pulling in, I press the button like normal. I look on top of the garage, on the roof of the garage, and there's 4 birds.
4 birds.
Yeah.
Top of the roof.
2 crows, a hawk, and a vulture. Now, you might be like, okay, what's the big deal, Lee? But I've been in nature all my life.
Never seen that in my
And
life.
you're telling me crows, a hawk, and vulture are hanging out?
It's like they had a secret meeting or something, man. Like
They're hanging.
who sees a crows, vultures, and hawks hanging out with each other on a roof?
Right.
Like that's just totally off.
That's up. Now, and you can see like, okay, like you might look up into the sky,
Yeah.
and you can see the crows are like
Right.
antagonizing the hawk, or you can say like you might see on the ground the vulture,
Right.
and the crows are
And
like
the crows are waiting or something like
standing
that.
aside to
Yeah.
see. But then once you say, okay, like they're on the roof, basically perched on the roof,
Yeah.
and they're together.
That's so weird.
What are we talking about now? Like, there's no like the like. So I'm like, okay,
You gotta look this up.
I gotta look this.
You
up.
gotta look it
I
up.
got to. So let's just do this right. And
All
if,
right.
if I get to a point where I'm reading, and then if something sticks out or something that you like, okay, well, how does that work? How does that apply? If I don't just automatically, please feel free to.
Oh
say
yeah.
it.
I'll stop you.
So 2 crows, man. Crow teaches you to recognize your own self-worth and how to see profound truths no matter how harsh. So right off the gate, when I'm looking up
Yeah.
the crow, it's like self-worth. Okay, I know my worth. I'm talking mediocre,
Yeah.
magnificent. I'm working on my books, heavy. Great. Profound truths no matter how harsh. So you like, Lee, are you stretching? You take it if you want to say I'm stretching. A profound truth is I'm looking at 2 crows, 1 hawk, and a vulture on my roof. To me, you might think it's like, oh, that's every day. That's profound to me.
Yeah.
Like there's something else to
That
this.
is different, man.
So I'm like, and it's something else to the point that I'm willing to look into it, and it's even for me to share it. Mm-hmm. So there we go. Crow teaches you how to mold your own message. Like I'm saying message of like honoring your message.
Yeah.
One of my M's is message, honor the message.
Right.
Like RN, message. Your power into shape that supports manifestation. So is your message and how you're showing up and what you're doing, is it being physically manifested in? And this is what they're saying the crow is showing.
Yeah.
And there's 2 of them. So I don't know.
That's what gets me.
I don't know if it's like, if that's a
2.
double, like you need to look at this to 2 times
Yeah.
this circumstance. I don't know. I'll let you decide that. You got anything so far? Or you want me to keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. one of the important messages of Crow is not to fear change.
Okay.
So what do you think about that?
Well, what would be a change that you think would be something going on?
Well, say like I have several things that I'm working on
Right.
business wise.
Yeah.
And like we've been doing certain things a certain way.
Yeah.
In business.
Uh-huh.
And it's time to change.
True.
And this is telling me not to fear it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two of them.
Right.
And I don't want to say
that's even better.
necessarily
That's
come from a
interesting.
place of fear, but not fear of like failure. But maybe if you were to really say, okay, Lee, just the unknown. Like you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't, me knowing as far as long as personal development, to say what I label as fear, I wouldn't say fear. But if we do how you taught
the cycle thing,
yeah, years ago, the words, okay, like even though it might get a lesser word, it's not as strong a fear. It's still like
true. Yeah.
Okay, well, it still roots
It's
back.
still in the big bubble of fear.
Yeah, it still gets the bubble.
Yeah.
So you could be magnificent all you want. I mean, like speak life, and it's like, but
there's
things changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm stretching my comfort zone, and I'm doing it intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
And the Crow is telling me,
dude, like
don't
worry about it.
Of them. So I mean, where does that apply? And I don't want to make this about me. Please, when I'm telling this story, when I'm reading this, I've been vulnerable and willing enough to. If you might think, oh, Lee, you're wild, you're crazy, you're telling me, but take what you need to take from it, and internalize it for yourself of where you're at, and say, Lee's telling me within his own story that there's no reason to fear change.
There's not.
Because if you read Who Moved My Cheese,
oh, that's a good one.
Fear is inevitable.
Yeah.
Because change is going to happen if you fear that.
It's all about the response.
But do you face it?
Yeah.
Change is happening. Mm-hmm. So then, okay. Another important element to Crow is its voice. This bird uses its voice to warn other members of its tribe. Like I'm wearing this shirt right now. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Mm-hmm. Like there's a reason I wanted to wear the shirt today, and now I see why. No.
Yeah.
Even those far away. I'm a speaker.
Yep.
We have a podcast. I coach people. Another important element is Crow, its voice. We can go right back up to the top thing about, okay, people have to hear my wife likes to say, like, raw law.
Yeah.
Like, my authentic voice.
Uh-huh.
And what I'm saying, you might think, like, oh, our company is mediocre to magnificence. I want to warn people about mediocrity.
Yeah.
I want to keep them out of status quo.
True.
There's two crows, man.
Two crows.
So, yeah, even though it's far away, we're reaching the world with this.
Yeah. It's global. It's global.
Are you going to keep speaking? But then are you going to do with the fear part? Are you going to do what's necessary to scale it to reach even more people?
Yeah.
Are you going to bring other people? Like we've said, it's okay. We're going to bring other people. We said we're going to bring other people on this podcast.
Right.
You might be like, what's that mean? We're going to bring other people because when those people get on our podcast, they have tribes. And then there are people that are in line and in tune with them. Mm-hmm. They're going to be like, oh, you're on their show? I want to listen to their show. And then we'll have more reach.
Right.
But we have to do
what's necessary.
What's necessary. Okay, going on to the next one. It just works. You can't help it. It has to work.
Yeah.
Crow becomes an amazing advocate for improving your insights. Like just how I just said about improving your insights. Like really looking at what gets you to the next level and whatever you want to look at, whatever area. I just gave you an example from mine. You can now see how energies mix and mingle. Now you might be like, okay, how energies mix and mingle? I've got two crows, a hawk, and a vulture. You don't think there's different energies mixing and mingle?
Yeah, that's different. But then it's like, how is it applied to?
How's it applied? You got to definitely be like, okay, do I think for 1 second, or anybody listening think for 1 second, that for me to do what I'm capable of doing, that I'm only supposed to be with, I say for instance, with these crows?
With crows?
Yeah, so now in this story, there's two crows mixing and mingling with
Hanging out with a vulture
hawk
and a hawk. Yeah.
and a vulture. Are they trying to glean something from those other birds? But if you say, well, Lee, who are you hanging with?
Yeah.
One of the M's is meetup. What's your network look like? You're the sum total of people you hang around the most. You hang around 4 broke people, you're the 5th. Like, or is sometimes you're gonna have to get out of your comfort zone and say, hey, like, I know what the other crows are talking about. I know what the crows are on. I need to go see what the hawk's on. I need to see what the vulture's about. Is there any
Insight
that I can glean from those other? So let's get it back to, can I put myself in other environments around other people to learn other skill sets, to be exposed to other mindsets or thought processes that'll help me in my lane and my journey? You better mix and mingle.
Right.
You think it has to be like, oh no, I'm magnificent, so I only hang around other people that's magnificent. Okay, I've heard a quote. You learn how people succeed, but you also learn how people fail. You learn just as much in failure.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to say like, oh, out of the hawk and the vulture, you might be like, yeah, the hawk the hawk is, yeah, I don't mind hanging with the hawk, but the vulture seems kind of grimy. Right? So you think like, Lee, what are you talking about? In this example, are you telling me that I want to hang around somebody that's grimy? Not necessarily, but for 1 second, when we get to the vulture, you'll be able to see like there's some characteristic traits that might be like, yeah, if you put those,
you might want to hang.
If you put those and you take those, and we'll tie it in. I'll tie it in. I'll do my best to tie it in. So now, crow inspires tenacity, man.
Tenacity.
Whatever the wall or barrier, you will eventually figure out a way to get around it.
You think that's just a solidification for you?
Yeah. Like, especially knowing me. Like, how long we been doing this podcast?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you told me that. I was like, yeah, well, that's just solidifying what.
Like, how long we
That's
been
just
doing it?
solidifying it right there.
Like, how long I've been... whatever you want to say. It's like, the only way that you don't get around it, over it, through it, under, above, like, there's different ways.
You don't have the tenacity to do it.
Like, I'm still here. You're still here. So we're still in the game.
Right.
Like,
that's
you'll
how you
hit
gotta
your
look at it.
head long enough. You'll come home and you'll see 2 crows, a hawk, and a vulture to say, hey, you might have to look at it a different way.
Yeah.
Because the way this thing is working out here is different. The way that you're thinking about going about it is
different.
The crows and hawks and vultures are hanging out. It's different. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
I'm talking to somebody. I know I am.
I know, man.
Even if it's just not myself, I'm talking to somebody.
Oh, man.
But, okay. So here we are. If you stay true to crow's integrity, you'll know deep in your soul that walking your talk builds the bridge to success. So if you say, like, you remember when I started off, I was very intentional when I said, hey, I'm up at 4:30. I'm doing the prayer, the Bible reading, like all this stuff. You say, oh, your routine. And it's like movement at a certain time. I'm on the way home. And the only reason I'm setting that up, and I even said intentionally, oh, the early bird gets the worm, and you know, people laugh. People listen and laugh. You laugh. It's fine. And I'm not saying you laugh to antagonize me. No. But what I'm saying is, when we start looking at this, what if I had just started my day the way they flew off, I was coming home in the driveway. Press the button, go in. What if I was just starting my day and I was leaving?
Never would have saw him.
Never would have saw him. So what I'm tying this to, I'm walking my talk. I say there's 8 M's to magnificent living, and I'm living them.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you saying that's important that you're not in congruency with? Your message is not being honored.
Right.
And you're falling short. And the crow is telling us that's the bridge to success.
Right.
And there's 2 of them.
The 2 gets me, man. The 2 gets me.
It does. So yeah, that's the hawk. I mean, that's the crow. Excuse me, that's the crow. Now we're about to go to the hawk.
Man. I never knew crows were that interesting in that.
Yeah, they're smart.
Yeah, they're very smart. I know that.
They're
like
very
I've seen where they've. It's crazy how they can solve things to get to certain things. But.
So yeah, so now man, we're on the hawk. So this is what.
All right, the hawk.
I look up, and this is what's coming up for hawk, and is fear keeping you caged and unable to fly toward making your dreams come true? Like the hawk is coming out the gate asking you a question.
Yeah.
The crow is kind of making a statement. This is point blank saying.
Asking the question.
Is fear keeping you caged and unable to fly?
And the crow said, dealing with the fear, right?
Right.
Like it was like, oh yeah, you gotta let that go.
No, we're gonna get to it.
And now the hawk is okay.
So are you too focused on minutia and need help to see the bigger picture? Like where does that? Like, for you, like
yeah.
I mean, I'm not throwing you under the bus. When you be like analysis paralysis, you're researching, you're studying, and it's like you're looking at stuff that's not attached to the big picture. Like that stuff, what are we looking at?
Right.
You know the big picture. You've been a part of the journey. Like, get out of the minutia.
Get out of the minutia.
That's what the hawk's saying. So then we go right in. When hawk swoops into your life, be ready for a whole new level of awareness develop in your mind and spirit. Now, you've said you've seen hawks.
Yeah. And there's been an awareness.
A lot.
There's been an awareness. Yeah.
Recently.
For sure.
A hawk signals a time in your life when you need to focus on what's ahead.
Mm.
Like, I don't know, somebody might be living in the past.
Yeah.
Like, what about this or what about that? Or I could have.
It's like not.
What?
Focus on
the future starts today. The time is not. What time is it, Lee? Now.
No.
What time is it? Now.
No.
I mean.
Not tomorrow. Not yesterday. Now.
It doesn't get realer than that.
Yeah.
Just as the hawk, you are ready to fly higher than ever before.
Mm.
Who doesn't need to fly higher than ever before? I'm talking to somebody. It's time. What you waiting on? It's not going to look the way you think it's going to look.
Nope.
It's not in the minutia. It's the big picture. What's the big picture? Are you a part of it?
Yeah.
Are you going to do what's necessary to play your role in it? Or are you going to stay in the little yesterday things?
The minutia.
Hawks' greatest attribute is their vision. So I the reason why I take on that is because, like, I'm the CEO. I'm the leader. Like, I had the vision to start it. Like, the 8 M's is the methodology I came up with to make me better. And coaching people over the years, I'm like, it's not only making me better, there's people deal with this. This is what they deal with. On a certain, we're talking about, this comes up. This comes up. It's the same.
Yeah. The vision.
It's my vision. But am I going to look at the big picture and say, hey, yeah, get out of your own way, scale the process, put it out, speak to people's pain, and help them. Hawks have the sharpest eyesight of all raptors. You knew that?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you think like, oh, well, you hear this bird or that bird, eagle. You're like, the hawk has this?
The hawk does.
The sharpest? It's on my roof? This signifies that it's time for you to pause and pay attention. I don't care what nobody
Pause
thinks.
and pay attention.
Somebody might. Like, if you can't say, okay, vultures, hawks, and crows are hanging out, and it doesn't make you at least step back and be like,
What's going on here?
That, at least make it like that's different. You might not even verbally say it, but at least in your being say, I just experienced something different.
Right.
I mean,
That's the pause.
That's the pause and pay attention to everything. In particular, Hawk challenges you to get a higher perspective on something that's been holding you back. Until you get the big picture, you could remain stagnant. Now, I think we've done a podcast when I was talking about, hey, you have strengths, but you also have weaknesses or things that could be perceived as weaknesses. Didn't we do it to some
Yeah,
effect?
and we talked about how
if you're saying, hey,
focusing on the weaknesses. Yeah.
me looking back, say, I need to focus on something different, challenge you to get a higher perspective. This might be solidifying, saying, hey, where I'm looking at certain stuff and saying, hey, like, when it comes to this and that and this certain thing and or whatever, you can say social media marketing, email campaign, whatever. You're like, yeah, that could be like, okay, you don't give a lot of energy, that's weakness.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this is solidifying, saying, hey, you saying that you're knowing and you're acknowledging that and you're facing that is solidifying the big picture. And by me doing that stuff,
yeah, that's true.
I'm not going to remain stagnant. So for me, it's confirmation.
Yeah, I would see it that way too. Yeah.
What about you? Anything for you?
As far as that goes,
Yeah.
I think it's the realization of the big picture.
Yeah.
Like understanding really defining the big picture.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that stuck out for me right now.
That's good.
Yeah.
So also, hawks hunt in groups. I didn't know that to that extent. When hawk shows, perhaps it's time to ask yourself about the company you keep.
This man hanging out with 2 crows and a vulture.
And it's literally saying it's time to ask you the company you keep. Now, immediately people would be like, no, a hawk, sharpest vision, bird of prey, raptor. Like, it needs to be with other hawks. Like, it don't need to be with crows. It don't need to be with vultures.
Like, why is that?
But that doesn't mean, what if some of the other hawks that you think? It wasn't, like, I had a person that was like, oh, yeah, man, and it's like, oh, man, wow, I didn't realize you lack integrity.
Mm-hmm.
He was a hawk. He's a hawk in a lot of areas of life. But he lacks integrity. So the way this is making me feel is like, there's something in those 2 crows, there's something in that vulture that, hey, their characteristics, their personality, the way they show up.
It's integrity side of it.
It's like, there's something
you can see from.
I'm keeping company with.
Yeah, I'm keeping company.
People that's doing something. And it might not necessarily look the way you think it's going to look.
Right.
Because we could play the social media like, oh, look at me, I'm standing in front of the sports car.
Mm-hmm.
We could play like, oh, look at me, every time I go on vacation, I take pictures and post that. You're not posting a picture when you're on the roof with the crows.
Right.
You don't want to post that, and the crows is what's teaching you something. You don't want, like, when we're talking about the last podcast we did last week, when we're talking about like, oh yeah, man, I'm in the woods.
Right.
Or I threw my disc in the lake. No one's putting that video up, but that's the video that's teaching you something.
Right.
They want to show you the hole in one. It's we talked about it. It takes 5 shots on a par 5. They want to show you, oh, I did it in 1. You're a liar.
Yeah.
You're a liar. Because even if you want to say you did it in 1, you got the 1 that day. You achieved it that day.
Right.
What was the last 10 years of your life? What did that look like?
Yeah.
Don't play me. I'm smarter than that.
Right.
So here we are. We got a little
integrity.
The company you keep in both you and your personal and professional life. Wow. Some people, you're hanging around people you have no business hanging around, and you just because you think that they're hawks.
Yeah.
You have no business around them. There's people that show up a different way. They show up magnificent, but you can't get past the outer or the superficial to see
Right.
what's what and see who's who. And it goes back into, remember from the other one, walking your walk? It's like the crows are walking their walk, man. The vultures walking
I
their
mean, you
walk.
learn so much when, like, the crows, they walk their walk, and you may be a hawk, but they're walking their walk. How can you not?
And how you
learn
cannot
something from
respect it?
Yeah. How can you not respect it?
Yeah, at the least, like,
Yeah.
how can you not respect it? So, what people do you currently consider part of your true soul group? Now that's so. It's basically the way it is because you're thinking like, okay, in the soul group, in the grand scheme of things, like if you even want to say like, so I'm gonna say Tiffany's name. Hopefully she'll get to this episode, and I'm saying that she'll laugh when I said that like that. No, really, because we have the foundation and we do some stuff with the community and give back and all that, but she's real big into that, and it's like, well, we have an opportunity for you. If you're interested, there's an opportunity. But then if you say like, you with the company and the podcast, and Jamie and Coleman, and I can name a few others, but the thought process is just to say, hey, are they in the group? Now, they're in the group, that's fine. What role do they play? How do they show up?
Yeah.
Is everybody the hawk?
No.
Are there some crows? Are there some vultures?
Yeah.
We could probably, there might be some other birds,
Well,
according to this example.
yeah. There could be. Yeah.
But what's the grand scheme of it? And then how it looks. You might be like, okay, well, no, I need to talk to so-and-so. It's like, no, you don't. You need to
Right.
build your table, and your table has to be, actually looks different.
Yeah.
Because if everybody was me, everybody had my skill set, my gift, and basically my purpose in life.
That would not be very. I'm not saying it would be It would be magnificent, but it's like, if everybody's the same,
We've got to help each other.
Yeah.
Like your gifts and your talents help me.
right?
Even your personality balances mine.
Right.
Like, there's a process to this.
Yeah. That's why we're all created.
We don't all need to be
different.
alike.
Yeah.
All right. So then we have, in times of trouble, who would come to your aid and who would fly away in fear? If something was going on that we didn't know about in the animal kingdom, right? And it's like, man, the hawk was in trouble. And 2 crows and a vulture came. And you're like, man, my hawk, I got brother and sister, I got
Yeah.
my friends over there, hawks, they didn't come. They left me on the roof by myself. You're like, man, well. And remember how I say sometime when I said we did the lawnmower died, and I was like, man, I had to phone a friend.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying, like, somewhere within my own self, like, I don't want to have to call Braxton.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, call Braxton. This is, and then, you're talking about the yard, just pay somebody to come. We went through all that.
Right.
The point of it is, who do you call?
Yeah. Who's that? Who's the one you
who
call
makes the list?
that makes that list?
Who makes the list?
Yeah.
I had somebody call me. I was glad I made the list. He was like, yeah, man, I haven't been able to. I've had some health challenges go on. He's like, I'm supposed to have somebody come cut it. I said, if they don't come cut it by Thursday, because I have stuff going on. It's not, I just can't just drop what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I said, if they don't come cut it by Thursday,
Let me know.
my availability, you count on it. I got you. And this is how the test is, because you've heard me say like, oh no, like there's gonna be a transfer of energy. Somebody else needs to cut the grass. So I was at least smart enough to say, hey, my friend, son, just started a landscaping business. At worst case scenario, I'll send him money. He'll go handle it. You don't even have to be involved. Just your grass got cut.
Yeah.
So I'm willing. It doesn't matter how it looks. Like, sometimes people think like, oh, well, I said I was going to cut the grass. Yeah, I was. I was going to transfer the energy to get it cut.
Right.
That might be a hawk wave. That might be a crow wave. That might be a vulture wave. You have to discern that.
I like
Leaving
that.
you suspended in midair with no ally at your flank, man. I felt glad because it's so funny how God works. Like, I had just made the statement that I made. Like, man, I'm not fooling this grab. I need to pay somebody. And then I had somebody say, hey, man, I had some health challenges. I need money.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how long have I known you? How long has it been going on? And it's not until this point that I say, and it's at this point in my mind, in my journey, that I say, man, I'm done with this, man. I got to figure out something else, man. That I know somebody that son starts a landscaping company. And it's almost like, oh, you said you don't want to cut your grass no more. We've got somebody that needs a chance because he just started a business.
Right.
You could mentor, you could pour into him.
Yeah.
Though that doesn't happen that's not happenstance. That's divine intervention.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are. Fear is not an emotion. Hawk entertains.
I love that one.
Even for a second. Doesn't even entertain it for a second. Hawk will swoop on a poisonous snake in a nanosecond, tear off their head. While this is a bit gruesome, it is in fact true in nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's telling you point blank, like,
You don't deal with it.
the hawk's there for a reason.
Yeah.
What's the big picture? Like, get back to the big picture. What might be perceived as like, oh, what about this? What about that? Oh, the minutia. Oh, ooh. It's like, what?
Big picture. Focus on the big picture.
Oh, a snake comes in? Man, rip his head off.
Mm-hmm.
There's no place here.
Yeah.
Not for that.
Don't focus on past stuff. Focus on the future stuff.
So that's the hawk, man. Nah, no.
I like how the crow and the hawk kind of
Yeah.
they relate to each other in a way.
Yeah.
Now, what's the vulture
Yeah,
got?
that's
now?
what people are like, really like, okay. I don't. You're not going to be able to. I'm just going to say the story, man. And you'll see the overlays, you know? In their world, there is no need to rush. Remember, vultures do not kill. It simply collects what is already dead, and death is inevitable. You're like, what are we talking about?
Wow.
But we're gonna go into it. Vultures may come into your awareness as a messenger that you need to get a different perspective on things. So if we go back and say like, vultures don't kill, because I've heard, if you don't kill it, like in the entrepreneur world, if you don't kill it, your family don't eat.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have heard that.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna read this one again. Vultures do not kill.
There's something to that, man.
It simply collects what's already dead.
Mm-hmm.
You might be like, man, I'm not trying to be no scavenger. I'm not trying to get scratched. I'm not trying to, like, I'm living off roadkill.
Oh, man.
I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying, is there a certain trait that we can look at? What's the energy if going out? How are you presenting yourself if you always go out and say, I have to kill it, I have to kill it, I have to kill it? Like, if you just physiologically, if you put yourself in a state of, I have to go kill it, that's, to me, stressful. That's like, I'm going to war. I'm prepared for battle. I'm suiting up with armor.
Yeah,
Now, there's a time for that.
Yeah.
But each and every day, you have to look at the big picture. It's like,
there's certain times.
I don't have to kill it.
Yeah. There's certain times where plays a role. But there's also certain times where the vulture plays a role.
It said that you need to get a different perspective. So let's see. Whatever is weighing on you down, it's time to drop it and move on.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. If you tie it back to like what we talked about during the hawk, what we talked about during the crow, like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the vulture seems more like
drop the minutia.
It's like a laid back, like.
Drop the fear.
Yeah.
Like, Change your perspective. How you've been doing it has only got you to a certain place. Change that. And how you... So say, for instance, if I say, hey, man, I haven't been wanting to talk to people's pain points. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you got to change this perspective, man. People are hurting.
Yeah.
And you say you have an answer. It's a different perspective. I say, Braxton, are you tired of living in mediocrity?
Mm-hmm.
Are you tired of living in mediocrity?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I am. Well, come find out how not to live in. At the I refuse to be mediocre.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wow, that's a different perspective. That's a new way of thinking. That's dropping old. So it's time to move on, man. Make sure you are investing in energy in only those things that truly support your well-being. Like, how does that not?
Boo.
You get that from a vulture?
Yeah, from a vulture.
Like, you're thinking like, okay, the vulture's like, he's chilling.
Right. I think I wouldn't say he's content, but he's like, it's almost like he
Right.
knows.
Yeah. So basically what I'm saying this for is like, while you're out hunting, when you're out trying to kill it, because you believe if you don't kill it, your family won't eat. The vulture's sitting there like, man, I know I'm going to eat.
Right.
I know if I do what I'm supposed to do,
I'm going to eat.
and I focus on the things that I'm capable of focusing on,
Play my role.
I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
If you don't tell me that, tells you something different. But the key that people don't want to look at and hold on to is going back to the other, walking their walk, honoring their message according to our brand. You know let's go up further. Like, if I'm speaking my true, authentic voice, the way my wife says, raw law, you hear the law.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to eat.
Man.
And that comes from that's a different
That's from a
feeling.
vulture, too,
What
man.
you gonna do? And it's like, people, you would never look to a vulture, be like, man, that's dirty.
Yeah, man.
That's unclean. I didn't say you need to eat it.
No.
I didn't say you like. What can we learn from it? If the vulture tells me, like, the truth bumps that I get from saying, when I do what I'm capable of doing, focusing on the big picture, letting my voice be heard, not falling to the minutia,
Right.
honoring my message, I don't have to worry about it. I'm gonna eat. I could stop there. Shut it off. It's over.
Shut it. Cut the mic off.
So
Yeah.
the thought process for the listeners, I'm just being the example. You promise it's not about me. When are you gonna walk your walk? When are you gonna do it? And when are you gonna focus on what time is it? Now. And know in doing that, it's handled.
Yeah.
It's handled. You can't. The reason why people get so intrigued by the animals, we said we got to come up with a name. It's fine. We'll figure it out.
We got to figure it out.
It'll come to us.
We got to get it.
That I can sit here and say I saw four birds, and be like, oh, and do a whole message and do a whole speech and do a whole podcast, whatever, and drive a point and teach a lesson. I have that.
Yeah.
He gave that to me. It's been given to me.
Yeah.
Tying it right back into this. Do what he gave you,
Right.
and you don't have to worry about killing it. You'll eat.
Yeah. That is so crazy, man.
So then here, support your well-being teaches you. Vulture teaches us how to keep our word and show people our true nature through our deeds. So you like, if we just go to the animal, like, I know people have drove by a vulture, especially in the South. If you're in other parts of the world, I don't know the circumstances. But in Georgia,
That's a constant thing.
they're cleaning up. There's a lot.
I mean, really,
there's a
you
lot
need to
of
look
wildlife.
at, like, looking at info sponging it and stuff, like
Yeah.
how important they are.
If you hit a raccoon, and then in a few hours, the
They
sense
clean
of
it up,
smell
huh?
that they have, and how far the distance is of that, they're going to clean that up for us.
Yeah.
And it's like, But the only reason I'm tying to this is say show people our true nature through our deeds. So it's like you can say a lot. Talk is cheap.
Ooh.
It's a whole nother vibe to say, I'm gonna do what I'm capable of doing, and I know in my business, and I know for my family, we're gonna eat.
Yeah.
And tie it back into the beginning of the story. I'm on my M's, man. I'm on them. I'm checking it off. Habits, routine. My checklist is just handling. If I would have been leaving, I wouldn't have saw him. I was coming back. Early bird gets the worm. Show people our true nature. Like, you say you're 8 magnificent living?
Yeah.
You say you're magnificent? Does your deeds show it? Are you walking the walk like the crow was talking about? Or is it a theory? It's just fun.
Yeah.
So then, as a scavenger, Vultures also helps you route out opportunities. There are a lot of little openings all around you that you're not seeing. Time to make a change. Open up your senses and follow where they lead you. So it's like, it just ties back in. That last one just point blank said, you're thinking you got to go kill it. And it's like, no, you have a network of people. The meetups are real. Like, you have a mentor. You are a mentor. Like, pick up the phone.
Right.
The same way if you want to say like, hey, there's opportunities. Like, there's opportunities for when my friend called me and says, hey man, I need help cutting the grass. I could have been bogged down with doing it, or I could have, like, what's the opportunity here?
I think it's looking at it as an opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunity is like, I can help my friend.
Like when you
And
say
then
this,
I can help
yeah,
my other friend's son. So I'm helping, like, we've talked about the triple win. We're quadruple win.
I mean, it's like
I'm
the whole
keeping my
analogy of a
word.
scavenger.
So it's like, yeah. So where can it be like, and not to the point, not because some people will hear this and be like, they cross over into the grinding.
Yeah,
We're not
it's
talking
not
about
that.
grinding.
It's
We're
like
not talking about undercutting people. We're not talking about doing things out of integrity, cheating, lying, stealing. None of that. We're not talking about none of that. And I'm not saying that the Vulture shows up that way. I'm only saying that if a squirrel gets hit and the Vulture's hungry, that's an opportunity to eat.
Yeah.
So where in your life can it be like, hey, me walking my walk, me honoring my message, doing what I'm capable of doing, where does that transcend that you can connect opportunities? So if I were to like ask you, challenge you right now live and say, hey, where is the opportunity that you'd be like, yeah, man, I might not have taken it to the full example, and that I might not even realize that it was an opportunity. And you don't even have to overthink it. That's what when I be teaching the kids and I ask questions like, oh, I don't really get it. I said,
Yeah.
you're overthinking
The
it.
key is not overthinking it.
I said, we could go back to when we were playing disc golf and say, man, oh, you want me to go first? Sure, I'll go first. And just to say, okay, set the tone.
Set the tone.
It's like, that's an opportunity for
It's an
like,
opportunity.
what are you gonna do?
Right.
Are you gonna be like, okay, I see the tone. This opportunity, I see, like, I'm gonna get in on this vibe. The vibe attracts your tribe. I'm gonna get in on this. Or you like, nah, in this example, the vote, I gotta go kill it. It's like, you feel like you gotta go kill it, huh? Okay, good luck with that.
Yeah.
If you want to know what I'm talking about, go listen to the episode about that.
Yeah, that's a
But
good
it's
way
like,
to put it.
oh, you feel like you gotta kill it, huh? Oh, okay. I don't gotta kill it.
I gotta kill it.
I just gotta do what I'm capable of.
Man, I kind of like the Vulture, man.
You like the Vulture.
Man, it brings it full circle with all the other ones.
It brings it full circle.
It really does.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted to share it, man. And you know, if people want to talk to me one-on-one about it, like, man, really, I want to see how you and how it applies. Just reach out to me, man.
Yeah.
It's all there on the website. Just check it out. But yeah, man, I'm excited because like I said, this is confirmation for me. Hopefully, it's confirmation for somebody else. Look at what needs to be applied. Look at what needs to be shifted. Let go of what needs to be let go.
Yeah.
look at things from a different perspective. Like, we've went through so much. This is probably one of those ones that
This is a long one.
my wife will probably be like, "Oh, I had to go back and listen to that
Yeah,
again."
you don't have to go back.
Because there's so much
There's a lot.
that I've dropped.
There's a lot, especially for your own
And you're
self.
like, man, like, really go through it. Like, I'm challenging you. Go through it. Say, like, no, be real. Like, for once.
Well, yeah, this is
Be real.
this is
And
a
go
be
through
real
it and
moment.
say, like, how does it apply to me? How does it apply to my life? How does it apply to my circumstance? And let's make the adjustment.
Yeah.
Magnificence is upon you. Until next time.
This is your co-host here, Braxton Matson, and Lee and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We hope you've enjoyed it just as much as we did making it, but we couldn't do it without you. So please hit that like button, leave us a rating, leave us a review. Let us know what topic or subject that you would like us to talk about in your journey from mediocre to magnificent. But most of all, share it. Be the ripple effect of magnificence and know that you are magnificent in everything you do. Till next time.